These have been a long time coming, and it's just so fun. Rainbows. Gonna block my socks. Odd way to show off a sock. All the projects. Hey folks, end of another month means it's time for another knitting roundup. So let's chat about all of the projects that have been on and off my needles this month. Hi folks, if you're new here, I'm Dawn. This is Tangled Together, where I talk about my knitting hobby and the other things in life that get tangled up in it. Might be a little dark in here. It's a cloudy, overcast day, which I'm actually kind of okay with because that means it's cooled down temperature-wise. First of all, let's talk about what I'm wearing. So this is my Anacortes tee. I finished it earlier this year, kind of end of spring, early summer. It is knit up in Knit Picks gloss, and I hand dyed this using a tincture, like tea bag type dyeing method. It's supposed to be soft, like soft rose, dusty rose, I think was the name of it, but it came out a little bit more plum looking, and I'm honestly okay with that. So if you watched my previous video, some of these projects are going to be familiar because I worked on all of them in that video. Hi Ripley! You can't see Ripley, but she's down here coming in for pets. I actually have two finished objects this month. They're both socks. The first pair of socks I have not actually blocked yet. I just finished them yesterday. The other pair of socks are on my blockers, and I realized I actually need to get a set of larger blockers. For some reason, the only set I have are like adult smalls, which doesn't make sense because I'm like an adult medium, and everybody I knit for is an adult medium or large. So, oh hey, Ripley sighting. So yes, I need to go get some new blockers that actually are the right size. Yes, the first ones I finished, these have been a long time coming. I think I started these in March. Yes, because I was doing them in March while I was like knitting and walking. So they are just a simple vanilla sock. I don't have the name of this yarn. Do I have the name of this yarn? I don't have the name of the yarn. If I can find it, I will put it up here. Ripley, why did you have to move the camera? I purchased it at last year's Dogwood Fiber Trail, but yeah, it's this nice, fun, kind of light pink creamsicle color that then has these like blue and yellow and purples in it. And then the cuff, I did a peacoat, folded peacoat edging, is in this little like sample ball mini skein, super mini skein. Like, I don't even know how many grams it was. It was well below a 50 gram. That ended up being enough, just enough to do both of these. Because I was looking at it and was like, this color's kind of already in the sock. And that would be a really great use for it. I did just a kind of plain vanilla sock. Didn't follow any specific pattern for this. I don't even remember the stitch count for it. I did do a little bit of a wider toe. And then the heel. This is an odd way to show off a sock, but I'm not gonna show you my feet. Yes, excited to block this and have these done. I'm debating on if this is a pair that I'm going to keep for myself or if they will be gifted. Because I do like them quite a bit, and I don't currently have any socks that I have actually knit in my own personal wardrobe. The one pair that I did have, I made the mistake of using non-superwash yarn, and I forgot about that and put them in the wash and dryer, and then they felted and shrank, so they don't fit anyone's feet. So yes, yeah, really happy with that. I'm really glad that I had enough yarn to do this cuff with it, and I think the peacoat cuff looks really cute. I knit most of this while I was walking. This was kind of my project that I have a video that maybe someday I'll put out that was all about like starting and starting these socks and then doing all of it while I was walking, and like what I learned about all of that. Maybe at some point I'll put that out, or I might have a like do another pair of socks and do it again. And then the second sock kind of became my like playground on the go project, because again, really simple stockinette, basic thing that I didn't really need to be actively thinking about. I could pick it up and put it down. And especially I was using the like 9-inch circular needles. So that meant I didn't even feel like I needed to like reach the end of a needle. Most of the time previously I've been using 2 circular needles instead of magic loop to do socks or very small circumference. I really like the 9-inch. That might be the way that I go moving forward. But the one thing that I really liked with that was like it felt a lot easier to just stop wherever in the sock, especially since I wasn't worried about like trying to follow a cable or texture or anything like that. So that was really great. I think I'm definitely going to have some more easy sock projects that I'm going to try and cast on and have at least one that can be my going on a walk, going to the playground, just bring with me whatever project. My second finished object, I don't think I've really much shown on this because I did start it after that week of knitting. I did it, the first one for sock week, then forgot to submit the submission for sock week, but that's fine. And then did the second one during the like second thing of sock week. But that is a pair of Dustland socks. So this is by Stephen West. It is a pattern by Stephen West. I've had this pattern for a while and finally decided to just cast it on. And I really like it. It's a really good all over texture. So it's just knit and purls. It's got this nice garter stitch heel, and it's worked from the cuff down. Oh, that's something also to note with these. These I did toe up. And yes, I think these are going to end up being a Yule Christmas gift for one of my family members. I really enjoyed this pattern. It flew by really quickly. Oh, and the yarn I knit this in was Knit Picks Melisa in Harvest Moon. I love the color of this. It's such a good, like, harvesty orange color. Not quite copper, a little bit brighter, I would say, than a copper, or more orangey, but really, really like this color. I may have to, I don't know, I'm getting more into oranges recently. But also this seemed like a really good color for the person that I'm thinking is probably going to get gifted this pair of socks. Yeah, this knit up really quickly. I think I'm definitely going to make another pair of these, probably a pair for myself, because I was trying them on and they feel really comfortable. One thing I think I'm going to change when I do this again is the cuff of the sock. So I did not actually follow the pattern. The pattern had you making twice as long of a cuff and then actually folding it over and knitting together. You did like a provisional cast on so you could knit it together. I didn't want that thick of a cuff, but I also feel like it's a lot of 2x2 ribbing for the leg of the sock, and I also didn't want it to be a like super long sock. I could have, because I definitely had some extra yarn. I liked kind of where the length of this leg fit. So I think if I make it again, especially for myself, what I'm going to end up doing is doing shorter on the ribbing and doing at least one extra of the texture like segments. Because I will say, like, the pattern, he says, like, kind of do however many, like, do at least one repeat of all 3, and then you can either move on to the heel or you can keep adding them, but you do need to end on, like, a purl bump up here, and then he recommends also down at the toe. I think it just gives a much cleaner look to it. So if you kind of, I will say, like, that's something like maybe with the toe of the sock, it may not be as great of a fit if you're like in between sizes. But really enjoyed it. It was an easy pattern to follow. did appreciate that it was a 2-column layout to patterns. I'm finding that is something that I really like because I generally don't print out my patterns unless they have like charts that I need to mark off. I tend to look at them on my phone, and a 2-column allows me to actually like zoom in on the text and not need to scroll back and forth, whereas like a single column page, I do have to scroll back and forth if I want to actually read the text. So, pattern designers, something to note. But yeah, I'm really happy with how these turned out. I may reblock them after I get larger blockers, just to neaten them up. This is also the first time that I've blocked socks. I've had these blockers for a long time. I've never used them, hence why I discovered they were the wrong size. I don't know. I just had it in my head that I was like, well, socks, you're going to put them on your feet, and like a lot of them are designed to fit snugly and have like negative ease or basically no ease. So I kind of was in my head being like, I don't need to block them. But then, I don't know, something about this time I was just like, I think I do need to block them. I will say it did help with the texture pattern, like evening and opening that up. So gonna block my socks from now on. Yes, so 2 pairs of socks were finished in the month of July. One that basically has been in the works for a while, that I just like did the foot and the toe. And then these I did entirely in 2 weeks. All right, let's move on to my works in progress. First off, one you saw in last month's video, the Esther Jr. So I was working on this at the beginning of the month, and I got down to finishing the ribbing of the body and decided to set it aside. This is a project that I'm making for my daughter. It's knit in Knit Picks Swish in the color, I think it's Serrano. It's this very, very vibrant red. Because her school, she's supposed to wear like red tops, so I thought it would be great for her to have a sweater to be able to wear for school. The reason I just set this aside was, I was like, she's not going to be able to wear this for a couple more months. I had some other projects that were more like summer knits or like a blanket I'm trying to get done for her, more on that in a minute, that kind of were higher priorities. So once I reached a good stopping point, I cast off the hem, and I think next I'm going to pick up the collar and then do a sleeve. I'm worried I'm going to run out of yarn because I only have like a skein and 3/4 left out of 6 skeins. And it is an oversized sweater, so it is going to use up a little bit more. But yeah, that's why I'm going to do the collar and then one sleeve, because I think that's going to be a much better guide on if I need to order another ball of yarn. Luckily, this is, colorway that they still have, and it's easy for me to just add one. And I don't think the dye lot is going to be that specific because it's not like hand dyed or anything. I'll put a note of like, hey, if you've got this dye lot, that would be great. I'm really enjoying this. It's so soft and squishy. Swish is a superwash merino, so with my kids' stuff, she's still at the age where I definitely want to make sure I can put her stuff in the wash and dry. I may try and do a little bit less like throwing it in the washer and dryer. Just I did put the gauge swatch in the wash and dry to make sure that it was the right gauge with that. And I think it will have a little bit more wear in the washer and dryer and not hold up quite as long than hand drying, or like laying flat to dry. So, but if I need to, I can throw it in the wash and dry. But yeah, it's so soft and squishy. And yeah, I think she's really going to enjoy this. Very glad that I have this to work on, and I'm looking forward to finishing this soon. All right, on to the next work in progress. I think this is the next one that I cast on, and that is my Sweet Shop blanket. I just added another square last night, so there are kind of some haphazard needles and yarn hanging off of it. But I think it's fair to say that I'm halfway through with this blanket. It is going so well. I'm loving how it's looking. I love the way it feels. This is knit up in Knit Picks Comfy held double, the fingering held double. And Sweet Shop blanket is by Laura Penrose. So it's a blanket that's kind of designed to use up like an advent, I think. So sock weight yarn that you can hold double, or you can knit it up with DK weight yarn. But I feel like the sock weight, like holding it double has just such a nice, like, cozy drape. It doesn't feel stiff or heavy at all. And it's a acrylic yarn, so good for wash and care and all that. Because my goal for this blanket is for this to be the blanket that she takes with her to her preschool, because she's still at an age where they do like a nap quiet time that they need a blanket for. Now, you might notice there's blue and then purple, and originally when I mocked this up, I was going to have the purple as like the whole stripe, but once I did the blue stripe, I started to worry I was going to run out of yarn. Not necessarily run out of the colored yarn. I think I've got enough colored yarn to do like an extra purple stripe here, but the white yarn. And I kind of don't want to have to order a whole nother skein just to do like 1 or 2 triangles. And especially if I was going to run out of the colored yarn, I didn't want to have an incomplete blanket. So what I decided to do is shorten it by a row and then go from there. Because one thing I realized looking at the pattern and reading a little bit closer in the pattern, that she does say, like, especially if you don't put the border on, you can add to the blanket kind of at any time. There's a specific kind of way you have to add to the blanket, but it is very easy to just keep making it bigger. So that's kind of what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it this like square instead of a rectangle. Originally it was going to be a rectangle. And then I'm going to see from there. I'm going to see if I think that I have enough to do a whole nother row, if I just leave it. And maybe at some point down the line, I can get some more of the yarn and add in an extra row, or get some more of the yarn and do the border. But I think this is going to be a good size for her, like a good, she can lay under it. It's kind of like a lap blanket right now, but she's in preschool. She's small for her age, so I don't need like a huge blanket to cover her. And it's just so fun. Rainbows. So yes, the next stripe, just see if we can maneuver it. It's hard showing off blankets. So yes, the next stripe is going to be pink, and then we'll go back through orange, yellow, green, blue. Yeah, I think now it's going to end on a blue triangle, whereas before it would have ended on a purple triangle. Or no, I think it would have ended on a purple triangle. So yeah, that does mean that like every color but purple will have 2 stripes, but I think that's going to be fine. Yeah, really enjoying this. I do need to sit down and figure out how many squares I need to do on this blanket to have it finished in less than a month, because her school starts at the end of August, and I would like to have this done so she can take it to school and use it. And I have kind of taken a little bit of a break from this. I took a break to knit those socks, and I've been working on some other things here and there, just because it's reached the size where it's harder to bring with me to like my knitting meetups and everything. And also like, I don't want it on top of me when it's 100 degrees out and it's super hot. While it is a acrylic blend, I think it's cotton acrylic, put up on the screen what it is. It's not that warm but it's still a blanket on my lap. So yes, I do need to sit down and figure that out. Oh, another thing with this pattern, there are so many ends. There are so many ends. When I first started out, I was like, oh, I'll just weave in the ends as I go through each of the stripes, which through the yellow was not so much. When I got to the green and then the blue, I was like, why didn't I just do it after every square like the pattern says? I went through and spent like an hour and a half weaving in all of the purple row ends last night, and I feel like it's pretty good. I left out a couple purple things just to help secure the pink yarn as I'm adding that in. But yes, so if you hate weaving in ends, this might not be the blanket for you. If you do make this blanket, I do suggest weaving in the ends much more as you go. And I think moving forward, I'm going to do like 2 squares and then weave in the ends, just because like then I'm not just constantly weaving in ends, but I'm also not having these like, oh great, I'm going to spend an entire evening weaving in ends, because that was not fun. One more work in progress, and that is my Mountain Laurel Tank. So yes, I'm also knitting this up in Knit Picks Comfy, but this is in the Sport Weight. Let me show you some of the cabling. And this is in the copper color. I really am liking this project. Again, this kind of got set aside when I was working on the Dustland Socks for a little bit, but I've picked it back up. It's pretty easy chart or cable repeat to remember. Like, I looked at the chart for like the first repeat and then just went from there. And it is a bottom up tank. So that's something to keep in mind if you're not a huge fan of that. I generally am not a huge fan of that, but I think also this is going to have like a nice flowiness to it based on the design. So having exact fit is going to be a little less of a concern than some other tank things. And I think technically size down a little bit. I referred to the size much more for my upper bust than my full bust, just because I think looking at my bust size and all of that is kind of where I should be looking a little bit more. Patterns that are supposed to be much more fitted. I think I'm going to try and work in bust darts or some kind of extra shaping in the future. But like this one, I sized down, and I'm so glad because I still have actually quite a bit of room on this. And I think some of that is to do with the yarn. It kind of grew a little bit. But also it would have been huge had I gone with my actual bust measurement rather than my upper bust, because I'm like a CD type thing. It's been a while since I've actually had my fit for a bra, and I need to do that. So yes, lots of a good amount of progress on this, and I'm going to continue working on this because I think this is going to be a really nice fall transitional piece, as well as just nice to have in my wardrobe. I think it's going to look great, even layered under some cardigans. I don't have any acquisitions for this month. I've got a lot in stash that I would like to work through. As far as plans for August and the future, I'm hoping to finish the Sweet Shop blanket in August. I would like to get the Mountain Laurel top, some more progress on it, probably not finished, because I do need to start actually thinking about some more gift knits, because it's that time of year. So yeah, I've got those socks done. I think I want to do at least one more pair of socks for somebody for the year, if not 2. And I have another larger project that I want to work on. I'm not going into super specifics about the gift knits right now, in case those people are watching in the future. I'll let them know, hey, don't watch this video, or skip over this part. But yes, Yeah, I've got a few other projects for myself that I do want to do. I've got some yarn I want to dye and do a, what's the name of it? I'll put it up here. It's a pattern by Sari Nordland. It's similar to the storm sweater. I really enjoyed that, but I want to do like a little bit more of an oversized, and I've got this alpaca yarn that I think will be like really nice, warm, cozy, drapey, oversized. And then I also have yarn to do a sheep sweater. Put the specific name and the designer up here because I'm forgetting it. Yeah, I think that would be really fun. I'm kind of wanting to do another color work project. And that's going to be a probably slowly chip away at it project because it's also fingering weight like my catnip pullover. And that took me 9 months to knit. Granted, I wasn't like exclusively knitting on that for 9 months. It was a lot of like work on a little bit, put it down, do a sweater for my daughter and get that like, aha, I made progress. So yeah, I've been getting a good amount of knitting done this month. There's been some stretches where it's like I'm knitting every day for several hours a day, and sometimes where it's like, oh, I just sneaked in a little bit of time in the evening just as like summer activities and busyness has been still on the unemployment job hunt time. So there's been a lot of knitting for my mental health as a like activity, stress relief, and also this really nice like, oh look, I may not have gotten a job this week, but I finished a pair of socks. Yeah, there you go. That's what I have been working on over the month of July. Little hint at some future plans. I would love to know, what are you working on? Have you done any of the projects that I've mentioned? How did they go for you? What do you think about them? Yeah. We're over halfway through the year. That's crazy. I recently did a quick kind of check-in on my bingo square. I think I can finish a pair of socks to that, so that's really great. How are you doing on your like 2026 goals, bingo card plans? Because we're over halfway through the year, so I think it's a nice time to like check in and see like, what was the thing that I wanted to do at the beginning of the year, and am I sticking with that? Have I decided I'm just going to let it go and give myself grace for that? Or, redirect yourself and go like, oh yeah, like I've found having the bingo card has been nice because it's been like given me a variety of things to kind of pick from. And when I've been like, I don't know what I want to do for my next big project, I can kind of check in on that and be like, oh, right, like the cabled sweater for myself is still something I really, really want to do. I don't know, I'm having a hard time like settling on the yarn and pattern combo. But then I was like, oh, I also want to do another colorwork sweater for myself, and just love the sheep sweater. So that's what I decided to do. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, first off, make sure that you are subscribed so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. And consider heading on over to Patreon. It's the best way to directly support me, and you get some extra little bonus things as well. So until next time, I'll see you later. Someplace I